Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Jeffrey Lyles, welcoming you to another installment of Lyles Figure Files. Today, I'm revisiting a feature I really enjoyed. Hope you did too. Completing the crew. First one I did was the Marvel Legends X Factor Generation 2, basically the second outfits of Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Beast, and Iceman. And Caliban, just because he rocked the look while the team was still around. So anyhow, today I want to look at another Marvel Legends team, and I promise this feature will not just focus on Marvel Legends, but there's so many teams so close to being completed that I kind of want to give Hasbro the extra push to get these guys out there for us. So today I'm looking at the DNA version of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Hasbro's done a really nice job of getting started with this. And if you've been a fan of the James Gunn MCU films, you really ought to, if you haven't, checked out the DNA Guardians. Now, you could start with the two trades that are available because sadly Marvel didn't see the value of this book continuing for very long. But I would recommend starting with Annihilation. That is the massive space cosmic crossover that doesn't feature the Avengers, Fantastic Four, or the Avengers. It sets up this really big, massive conflict that this ragtag group of space-based characters have to contend with. And there's one kind of familiar character to people, um, you know, just from his solo book, Nova. And Annihilation really makes Nova a super A plus character. He's one of those guys who hasn't gotten the respect that he deserves. And I think if they had included him or made him into one of his, if they had given him a standalone MCU film right around the same time as the first Guardians of the Galaxy, people would be all over Nova. They would be, you'd see kids rocking Nova shirts, hoodies, helmets even. Nova was great in the Annihilation crossover and through the rest of the DNA run with these characters. And such a pivotal character at this point in Marvel. So the rest of the Guardians kind of come together through the span of Annihilation, take on Annihilus, and save the day. And after helping prevent another massive war, these characters band together and form a team, which still didn't quite have a name yet. Star-Lord recruits Groot, Rocket, Drax, Adam Warlock, and Quasar, who is not the Wendell Vaughn version. It's Phyla-Vell, Captain Marvel's sister, and just in Gamora. It's a really good team. They've got a great look. Everybody's wearing costumes and uniforms that kind of complement each other. They look like a squad. This is something we haven't really seen since the X-Men with their matching blue and whites, the New Mutants, or even X Factor. So I always love, I like the teams like the Avengers where everybody has their look and they're just coming together, the Justice League. But I think there's something really special when there's a team and they all have a team look. And that was the DNA Guardians. The blue and red just made for a great color scheme for a group, uniform. And Star-Lord, I wasn't even reading the book at this time, but I always thought that the posters, the imagery of this DNA group of Guardians of the Galaxy looked so cool. I wanted to know more about them. I never really got around to it though until the movies, and I was just blown away with how funny, entertaining the characters were. And I wanted to read more about them. So I started reading Brian Michael Bendis' take. That was the worst idea possible. Brian Michael Bendis has no idea about any character for any book that he comes on. He just knows who they are. Doesn't know their personalities, how they sound. He's focused on writing characters like he would for a sitcom. And that's what you get with a Brian Michael Bendis book. So I was really disappointed, and I decided to just go back and read Annihilation. Read the DNA Guardians of the Galaxy. And they've become one of my all-time favorite teams. One of my favorite runs of any comic. It was just so much great storytelling, so much great character work, and so many just totally different storylines that you don't see in Marvel Comics now. And it was kind of ahead of its time, and I wish they had kept going with them because they really told some great stories and introduced a ton of characters that work well as a unit. So for this completing the crew, let's take a look at what we've gotten so far and what's left. So Hasbro really had a good idea. Take advantage of the popularity of the movies. Release a box set of the Guardians based off of their comic looks. And we basically got that with this 5-pack of Guardians of the Galaxy. Star-Lord and Rocket, Star-Lord, Rocket, and Drax, they knocked out. We got them totally in their DNA looks, and they really look great. Drax is bigger. They had released one earlier, and he was scrawny and just didn't look the part at all. This one was bigger, had some bulk, some size to him. Even has some gauntlets that you can throw on there as another accessory. He's got his big butcher knives. Really intimidating looking figure. Star-Lord looks great. I've always loved this outfit. The whole helmet, the flared boots and pants. Just a cool design. Ditto for Rocket. I love the team uniform style with these guys. And the other two were kind of compromised, or at least in one case. Groot, they had already done as a Build-A-Figure in the Guardians of the Galaxy initial wave of figures. This is before they started really improving the likenesses and so forth. But Groot in the movies is basically a tree. And in the comics, he's much more sentient. And even though he's not really saying a lot of words, he's definitely not running around without any clothes. So Groot just came in plain naked form, and it's kind of like, okay, well, this works. They've improved dramatically the head sculpt to give us a more fierce, angry looking comic book head sculpt, and it's a really nice job on that end. Pull this Joker out so you can actually see him. But I mean, they captured him. It's not like the cute and cuddly I am Groot. They got the comic intensity, the fierceness of this figure, and it looks good. And if you can't get one with the outfit, this'll do. All right, so that was Groot, and they did a pretty decent job if they weren't going to sculpt a whole new figure out of him. And then we get Gamora, and Gamora is a really interesting figure because they actually did the scantily clad version of this outfit. Like, this is her look right before she signs up and starts rolling hard with the Guardians. This is how she looked when she was teaming with Drax and when she was teaming with Nova and Star-Lord during Annihilation. But this isn't her DNA look. And from what we've got with this figure, basically it just needs a repaint and a different head sculpt with a kind of crown tiara bit. But this was so close, and it was a really puzzling choice and decision because it was you did everything you needed. You just needed to change the coloring, basically. But that figure of Gamora is really cool. So got those two sort of compromised figures, but really well done for what they are. And then Hasbro decided, hey, we got a second Guardians movie. Let's take advantage of this further. Let's get some more figures that are associated with the DNA run. So we get Adam Warlock. And I was really excited because I had already read the DNA version. I didn't care about that golden version of Adam Warlock, but the Guardians version is great. And as an added bonus, they even included a separate head sculpt so you get his corrupted version, Magus. And I thought that was such a nice touch because he becomes a villain in Guardians of the Galaxy and a major opponent for the team to tangle with. So we got basically a 2-in-1 situation here, which is really great. And then we get Major Victory. And this is Vance Astro, member of the Guardians of the Galaxy. And in that book, in that team setup, he's smaller, slender. This one's a little bit bulkier to represent his time with the DNA squad. And it was a really smart inclusion because this is another figure that adds on to the existing team while starting the original Guardians of the Galaxy. So this is a nice 2-in-1. I'm glad that we got him, got the shield with him, Captain America's shield that he actually rocks in the run. But that's cool. All right, so that's what we've gotten so far. So the team that's basically left, and there's not a lot. Some of these are some redos that we just need better versions. If we can't get to them, here are the priority members to complete this crew. First off, there's no doubt about this character. We need her right away. Phyla-Vell, aka Quasar. I love that outfit. Her costume is one of my favorites that we've gotten since the 2000s. It's such a cool look. She looks great. She's got that great hair, the whole hoodie deal. I love for Hasbro to make her with a separate hood piece that pops off, not like the hood, the terrible figure that can't do anything because of how terribly they executed the hood on the hood. But have that so we can have the hood up version, the hood down, set up, the cloak just flowing. I'm not sure which way they want to go with her because she also comes kind of corrupted and has a black version of this outfit as well. But I want to see at least the version that she starts off with the team because I love it. I love her whole setup. I love her powers, and I think she's such a great character and a absolutely core member of the Guardians. So it's kind of, I think when James Gunn made the Guardian films, he sort of took, like, hey, these DNA, the DNA model for his team is right there embedded in the films. But I really wish he had done the whole squad, or at least the original team from the DNA group. He added Mantis in later in the second one, but I wish they had included Phyla-Vell and Warlock just to round out the original squad. So we've got her, and she needs to be the first one, the next one of the DNA squad that we get. I don't know what kind of rollout we'll see from Hasbro, but we need her. She's an essential character to complete the original lineup. And next up is Mantis, and we've gotten the MCU version, but we need the DNA one, the one in the blue and red attire, all green, with the antennas, the hula skirt, the whole deal. She's a very key character because as you read, you find out her role that she had with Star-Lord and actually putting this team together in the first place. And again, I really love the team uniform look. Right now, we just have Star-Lord, we have Rocket. Mantis really reflects that team look, so love to see that with her. So she's number 2 on this priority list of the DNA Guardians that we need. Next up is Cosmos, and Cosmos is one of the few occasions where I'm giving Hasbro a pass. You don't need a super articulated dog, and all we really need is a neck that articulates. He is the telepathic dog, the Russian cosmonaut. He's so fun in the book, and we've actually seen him in the movies, so it's not like, hey, this is a real stretch. We've seen him in the movies. He's in the comic. He's a key character there. I feel like he's kind of overdue. And I think this is the opportunity for a deluxe presentation where we can get Groot in his outfit, his uniform, and we get Cosmos as a pack-in because he doesn't need anything extra. This is a deluxe figure setup, deluxe pairing. Maybe they charge $50, $60. I don't want to go above that, but I think that's a fair price to get Groot. And there should be less sculpting involved because, doesn't have to do all those branch body parts. So we need Groot in his outfit with the team colors. Cosmos works really well as a character that pairs with him because there's no way we should buy a Cosmos separately. So there you go. That's how we get those 2 additional members. Next up is Jack Flag, and he's a character who just kind of randomly comes in with the team. He's hanging out with Captain America, and then all of a sudden he's a Guardian, and it works. And this is the magic of this DNA Guardians, because every character they add in works, and it's like, yes, I want these guys in the team, everybody. So Jack Flag is really basically simple. Is I think, I've really considered making a custom out of him, even though I'm not the best customizer by any stretch of the means. But I think Hasbro can do one of their fancy reuses. Maybe they do a retro Guardians line and he's a retro figure because he could really just use a base of the Star-Lord figure. And maybe they get rid of the buttons. I don't care. I'm not going to be that picky on this sense here. Use one of the Winter Soldier masked helmeted heads and you basically got a Jack Flag figure. I mean, he may be a little bit too easy, but I would love to see him. He's another guy who rocks the uniform, so we keep that uniform look with these guys because that makes characters like Warlock, like Drax stand out a bit more because they're not wearing the full blue top, blue pants, the boots, the Buccaneer boots, and the red accents. Then Bug. I think there's some issue with likeness with the licensing with Bug, but if he is still available to Hasbro to knock out, he's a cool character. He again has a uniform look, but he's got some unique sculpted elements that would really help him to stand out. It's so funny when you look at this Guardians team. They have more green diversity than they have anything else. There's like really no other races or anything else. No color. There's no diversity. So people who hate the whole woke thing would be really happy with the DNA squad because there's no forced diversity there. But anyway, Bug's a really fun addition to that squad, and he's got a cool look. He'd make for a really fun figure if he's somebody that Hasbro can actually do. Next up, and I probably have her slotted a bit too low given her importance and because she's a key member of this team as well, is Moondragon. And she and Phyla start a relationship. Makes sense. Again, it's one of those deals that happens organically. It's not a, hey, look at how prideful we are. But I thought she was a really good addition to this team. Very abrupt. She's not the most charming member of the squad. But with this set of characters, with this makeup of the Guardians, she fits in really well and works with this squad. And she rocks the costume, the uniform of the team. And, you know, for parents who may be like, oh my gosh, she's showing all the cleavage. This is a really simple case. Finally, and we have to get a repaint of Gamora. So not so finally. Just honestly, this is a case where I would not care if the crown tiara was not in place, but just repainting this figure is really great. Really, I mean, this head sculpt is fantastic. One of the better ones that Hasbro did. Keep the cape, just repaint the figure to DNA style. And I think Gamora is one of those characters. They could do a comic book version and it's okay. But the final member of this we need to complete the crew is a guy who's not even really part of the team, but is so integral, who teams up with them so often that he may as well have been a member this time. It's Nova. This figure was a pretty good one back in the day, but Nova was not a chump at that point. He was kind of bigger. He was Nova Prime, so he wasn't scrawny Rich Rider at this point. The sculpting on this figure is still really well done, but he looks small next to other comic figures. For example, Star-Lord, who is basically his peer and best friend. You see how much bigger Star-Lord looks than Nova, and Nova should totally be, if nothing else, the same height, same build as Star-Lord. Again, he became a really great character. He was one of those, I don't know, I'm still a little bit disappointed, kind of upset that Marvel didn't decide to push him a little bit further. When they mentioned the Nova Corps, I thought we would see Nova show up at some point in the MCU. And he could have been one of those major cavalry characters like Captain Marvel in Endgame had he shown up earlier. But, you know, for the time that we got this figure, it was okay. But we need a total revamp, just bigger, buffer version of him. And yeah, just overhaul of what we got there. So that is the DNA Guardians of the Galaxy that we really need to see completed from Hasbro. And this is a squad that we've gotten just about half of them done now. We could use that Groot to, you know, just to have that uniform look. Definitely need Phyla-Vell, Quasar, Moondragon, Jack Flag, Cosmos, Bug, Moondragon. So I don't think it's too much to ask, especially since we've got another Guardians movie coming out. And I know before in the 10 Ways to Fix Marvel Legends, I said no merging the comic book and the MCU. In this case, I think we've already gotten enough of these Guardian figures. Maybe we could crank out maybe 3 of this team in a wave of Guardians Volume 3 characters. I think that's a way to get some of these guys done. Do a deluxe set with Groot and Cosmos. And worst case, we'll do another 3 figure box set. I think in this case, Phyla-Vell, Moondragon, and Jack Flag seems ideal. I think Gamora, single painted, released on her own, retro card, could work just fine. Ditto for Mantis. They're 2 characters that have been in 2 films, 2 Guardian films, and They've been in Avenger films, so I think they have enough name recognition that they could get solo carded retro figures. They don't need a lot of accessories, so I think that format actually works well for both of them. But there you go. That's my take on how we can complete the crew of the Marvel Legends DNA Guardians of the Galaxy. Let me know what you think. Let me know if this team is even on your radar for a team to get completed. But yeah, and then I'll go into the need of why we need a new Annihilus later. But thank you as always for watching. This episode of Loud's Figure Files has been filed.